Yeah, I mean, I interviewed Kanye in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
This was right before his first hit record dropped. Through the Wire was out, but Slow Jams was just about to come out.
Yeah.
Which was his first, what I consider a hit record.
Right.
He was in the studio with Common working on his album. It was the same Kanye, but it wasn't, he was always really like in love with Kanye and surprised by the rest of the world and not know that he was the best ever at everything he does. And there was that, right? There was this little moment when, me, him, and Common were talking about breakups. We'd all three of us had gone through breakups recently. And I remember I asked Kanye, who had just broken up with his girl from college, I'm like, breakups are different depending on who does it, whether it was you or the female. In your case, what happened? And he goes, of course I broke up with her. A girl would be crazy to break up with me. I mean, what kind of question is that? Like, and I'm like, okay. Me and Common sort of looked at each other like, okay. He was always really like had a huge ego, but it was more harmless back then. It was just, I'm the best and y'all should know it, but I'm not actually going to denounce. I'm not going to say you're the worst or your race is the worst or whatever else. It was just like, I'm the best. And eventually the world will figure it out, which eventually the world did.
They did, of course.
So it was sort of the same Kanye, but this new Kanye, I'm not really digging. And you actually went on Twitter and you said, as a black person, there's absolutely zero reason to defend, idolize, or romanticize Hitler. Zero. Hitler was and is an enemy to the diaspora and left a violent, dehumanizing legacy when it comes to black people. If he wouldn't have had his way, if he would have had his way, meaning Hitler, we would have been wiped off the face of this Aryan planet as part of the final solution, or made to be permanent servant slave class. I know that this sounds familiar. It is what was wanted for us here.
Yeah. So let's look at two things there. So no, Hitler is so fucking stupid that we're relitigating this. Hitler didn't like black people.
Well, he killed black people.
He killed black people.
Right.
Hitler believed that there was a pure Aryan race.
Right.
And that the way to make the world into a place that functioned and powered his vision was to have this Aryan race in control of everything, in control of Africa, in control of Europe. And the way to do that was to kill off all the Jews, kill and subjugate black people.
Right. And as well as kill off all the homosexuals.
Kill off all the homosexuals.
Kill off all the gypsies.
Gypsies, because there were 12 million people who died in the Holocaust, 6 million Jews.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about Hitler and what America as a nation has never really come to terms with is that a lot of Hitler's beliefs and a lot of what Hitler was doing was informed by things that he got from over here. The Dearborn Independent, which was, I'm sorry if you guys out there drive 4 cars, but the Dearborn Independent was a newspaper that was published by Henry Ford, who was a virulent anti-Semite.
Yeah.
Right? A virulent anti-Semite, and who had his own view of what the Jews had done to America and to Christianity. He used his platform to put those ideas out. Hitler was a student of Henry Ford. He was also a student of America's treatment of black people here. And he wanted to use that as a blueprint of how he was going to set up what was going on over in Germany. That's just historically true. However, it's neither here nor there when we're talking about what Adolf Hitler wanted to do. Black people have not been treated right in America. We have never been valued in America. We've never been powerful economically, physically, spiritually, socially in America. That's a fact. And there are many people who are, to me, the same slavers, ex-presidents, business magnates who had the same vision for black people here in America that Hitler had for the Jews in Europe. I absolutely, it's not as I believe that that's true. However, we cannot, what about Hitler? We just can't. Hitler marched into Europe and touched off World War II, right?
Yeah.
3.5% of the people on Earth died in World War II.
Yeah. My grandfather on my mother's side, he was one of 10 siblings. He was the only one that survived World War II. 9 of his brothers and sisters were killed. Now, I've seen in the comments, people are saying, oh, that sounds ridiculous. Vlad's just making up stuff. The reason this happened is because my grandfather joined the military. He became a cook in the military. The rest of his family stayed in, I believe, Kiev in the Ukraine. And that city was bombed all to hell by the Nazis, and his whole family died.
Yeah.
That's my personal history with Hitler.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, a lot of people died. I know that there's a conspiracy theory that was going around that Hitler killed the Nazis to get back at how the Jews treat black people in America.
That's not true. So, by the way, I just want to make sure that everybody knows this. Hitler didn't love you. Like my head is gonna pop off my fucking body. Like, Hitler didn't love you. That quote about Hitler saying that black people are the true Jews, that's fake. That's not real.
It's not a real quote.
That's not a real quote. That never fucking happened. There are propaganda letters. There are pictures. There are actual words of what Hitler thought about black people. And forget about Hitler when we move on and look at the legacy of the neo-Nazi, the skinhead, the person that worships Adolf Hitler. That has spun into a whole different view.
None of these groups like black people.
None of these groups like black people.
None of these groups like black people. Not a single one.
Not one. So brothers, we can agree and we can talk about all kinds of things as it relates to what we think the truth of our world is. We can have that conversation. We cannot relitigate Adolf Hitler. We cannot. There's nothing to relitigate. There's really nothing to relitigate here. Yeah. And so, like, leaning into somebody like that is just like Kanye surrounded himself with Nick Fuentes. It's just like him surrounded himself with Milo Yiannopoulos. It's just like him surrounded with people whose very aura is destabilizing to black intellectual, social, and mental. Not mental. Now I'm fucking mad. I can't even think. To us rising up, like, all of these people. These people are on record with what they think about white purity politics. And so Kanye has decided that this is his tribe. Let him have it. He is not actually telling you guys that he's anything different than what he actually is. He has decided to be a Nazi. Stop fucking making excuses for it. The one thing that's brilliant about this entire thing for me, that's actually calming for me personally, I'm not somebody that's like, I'm not the moral police of the world. I'm not into deciding who's pure and who's that. I've done things in my life, obviously, that weren't so moral and weren't so pure. We all have. So I'm not trying to be anybody's moral arbiter. But I'll tell you one thing right now. If you are making excuses for Kanye West at this point, and you're both sides in this at this point, to me, you are drawing a clear line in the sand about how serious you are about black people. You're drawing a clear line in the sand. You can't hate Jewish people more than you love us. In everything that Kanye's done, he's managed to shit on a nigga. Every fucking thing that he's done, he's managed to shit on black people while he's doing this. He dissed George Floyd. Right? He dissed George Floyd. He parroted a white supremacist talking point about George Floyd, a black man who was executed by the state in front of our eyes, and told us we didn't see what we saw. What is so fucking alluring about Kanye West's dick that is making all of these people want to hop on it to make sense out of this shit that's nonsensical and injurious to us? He is not operating as somebody who wants or desires black freedom, black power, or black safety. And that's just a fucking fact. It's just the reality. If you don't like hearing it from Van, the ex-TMZ dude, I fuck with it. I get it. Go listen to somebody else, but that's just true.